Hi, I'm Charlotte Easley. I'm a clinically trained life coach for women who are looking for more passion, more purpose, who want to know how to set boundaries, how to communicate well in relationships, and who want to be the best version of themselves. They want to be who God created them to be. And sometimes that means stepping out of those old stories that we believe about ourselves into the identity that God's given us. So that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I do. I am here today to share a little bit about the welcoming prayer. So I have this thing called First Friday groups, and what it is this gathering. It's this community of Christian women once a month, and the first Friday of every month we get together for an hour and I teach about some skill or some little habit or practice that they can include in their day that supports them living out the essence of being a Christian and sort of step away from the to-do lists or the hurry, right? The busyness. So this month, for March, yeah. Okay, this is about the welcoming prayer, and it's one of my very favorite tools and for Christian women. I love it. I have been I went to a workshop probably about 2 or 3 years ago and heard this about Father Keating's welcoming prayer. And it's been a great asset to me and to my clients. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. It reminds me that I am not on my own, that God is with me and present and able to do all that He promises to do. So for such a time as this, right? Lots of restlessness in the world right now, lots of anxiety, lots of emotion. And one thing I want to really stress about the welcoming prayer is that it's not a denial of what you're feeling. It's not a stuffing of what you're feeling. It is actually the acknowledgement of how your body responds to what your brain is thinking or feeling, and how to move from being a reactionary woman to a woman that's responsive and a woman who's exhibiting fruits of the Spirit. I think one of the things that we also want to acknowledge is we are not welcoming injustice or illness, but what we are welcoming is the emotions about those things so that we can be present in the moment, looking for what God has for us and not staying locked into the reaction that is breeding in us. Okay. So, the welcoming prayer is really consent on the go. It's allowing me to acknowledge that I have been sealed by the Holy Spirit. It lives in me. But through the day-to-day and the circumstance, the chaos of our lives, we often push that Holy Spirit down so that we can't hear or we can't receive the gifts of God present with us. And so it's just really about acknowledging that God is in our physical and our emotional reactions. It invites God into those circumstances of the day and the events of the day-to-day. And it also deepens our relationship with Him through the ordinary practices, through the ordinary walking down the street, through the ordinary walking in the store. by acknowledging that he is with us. So the welcoming prayer, as we're going to talk about it today, basically has 3 steps. And the first one is noticing you feel something that is interfering with your ability to be present. So what we know is our emotions show up in our bodies before they show up in our thoughts. And that can be a tightening of your stomach, a tightening in your chest, tightening in your throat, or your jaw, or a headache starting to happen. When we notice that, we usually just barrel through it, keep on going, got to get this done. List is more important than the feeling. And so the feeling persists until all of a sudden I'm reacting to the feeling at somebody innocently, right? Who has no idea that I'm all spun up. So what the welcoming prayer does is the first thing, we have to get in the practice of noticing that we're feeling something. Don't even have to notice exactly what it is. That's the really good part. We're just building the self-awareness that, yes, I'm feeling something. The second thing is we want to welcome the experience of the emotion as a way to consent to God's work in me, right? If I'm feeling anger at the guy in front of me who's piddling around in his car and on his phone, I don't want to become reactionary and blow my horn, or maybe I do. But I want to acknowledge that I'm feeling this. And then I want to welcome, thank you, welcome this feeling. Welcome the tightness in my stomach. Welcome this anger, right? It's irritation. Because God, I know that's not of you. And so the next step is then I'm going to let go. It's about surrendering that emotion to him through saying, I let go of my desire for security, affirmation, or affection, and control. And I embrace this moment just as it is. Excuse me. So that means if I'm irritated at the guy in front of me, I'm going to say, God, welcome, 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 and allow that surrender. And once I do that, I can feel the body starting to relax. But I can also start to notice that the reason he's piddling around is he has a reason he's doing it. Or that I can stop and notice that there's a beautiful rainbow over here, or a hawk up in a tree over here, or that the worship music or the music, just a beautiful George Win, whatever it is playing. And I can start to feel secure, not in control, and that I'm enough. Just enjoying the presence and the affirmation that God is with me. So just welcoming that moment. It's a lot easier. It sounds easier than it is, because this is a practice, and your practice field is every single moment of your day. When you have an agenda or an expectation, when you have a hurt feeling, when you feel slighted, when you feel misunderstood. This simple welcoming prayer, and whatever, there's guiding words to start out, but as you notice, my words are simply whatever comes from me at that moment. So it's not scripted. It helps to be scripted at the beginning. We'll talk about practice in a minute. But the simple statement of those, either out loud or in my mind, creates that sacred pause between the trigger of the emotion and the reaction to the emotion so that I can allow the Holy Spirit to work in me to respond. It brings, if I'm really aware of who I believe God is, then I can put that into practice during the day. If I feel slighted by a friend or overlooked or something, I can remember that God says I'm the apple of his eye. If I feel overwhelmed by a circumstance, sort of under the gun, I can remember that God is the one that fights the battles for me. And actually, he's already been down the corridor of this day, and he knows what this day was bringing for me. And he is not surprised, and he has already equipped me. But I must be able to acknowledge his presence in order to go there, right? So using the welcoming prayer, I've given you a couple of the examples, but one that I use a lot is I had someone who was really hated going home to their family of origin just because it was a contentious place. And there was a lot of arguing, a lot of things that made them feel less than, some history there. And what they learned to do was, before they got out of the car, they would sit there and they would say, welcome, welcome, welcome. I let go of my need. Whew, I can just feel this, right, in my body. Just, I let go of my need for control, for affirmation, for security and safety. And I welcome you into every moment, God. Help me see with your eyes the situation here and the truth of who I am. Saying that prayer allowed this woman to walk into this home and be there in a totally non-reactive way. And she was noticing things that she had never noticed before, that she always felt like this was my fault. And she was seeing things for what they were, that this is their stuff, this is my stuff. And from there, we began to work on boundaries and how to say no, or how to say yes, or how to say, you can't talk to me that way. I love you, but you can't say those things to me, or to confront some of that behavior. So it was this whole opening of this experience for her. Now that's a specific thing. Let's talk about the moment to moment, running into the store to get a gallon of milk and back out because you got to get in the pickup line at school, right? And you are frustrated at every turn. First of all, the guy's unloading the milk into the freezer and you have to wait for him to unload it. Then you're going back, the lines are long, da 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 da. Okay, welcoming prayer. You go and you're at the freezer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. God, I let go of my need for control right now. Obviously, I can't get done what I want, but I have some choices, right? God, I let go of my need for security. I know that my kids will be safe if I'm a little late. God, I let go of my need for affirmation and stop worrying about what school's going to say if I'm late in the carpool line, or what the kids are going to say. And I embrace this moment as it is. And then notice, as you turn around to go back to the front of the store, how that walk is so much different than the one that was the predatory focus on getting the milk and getting out there. You see someone who needs a smile and you're able to smile. An older gentleman drops his cane. You're able to pick it up and hand it to him. You get to the line and there's a mom with a screaming baby there, and you're able to start playing pee-pie with this baby and therefore make a change in that woman's. That's the essence of the Holy Spirit showing up in those fruits of the Spirit, the peace, joy, kindness, gentleness. All of that is there that wasn't there on your walk-in. So that's why I love this tool. And after a while, when you've been practicing this and you've over practiced it, because that's what you need to do, is for just write welcoming prayer on Post-its and stick it everywhere that you can so that you know you have a tool available. Over practice, and then you can get to the point where then you don't even have to say all the things, because the things that I was praying about in the store and things, those are to bring my awareness, broaden my awareness to why I need to surrender. And wow, this prayer helps me do that. So that when you walk in the store, you just go, welcome, welcome, welcome. And you're showing up. You have, now that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect at this, because we're not. There's still going to be times when I'm going to get out of my way. But that's for another story, right? That's a renewing your mind story, which is our topic next month. Practice, practice, practice. Morning invitation to prime your brain for the day so that you are open to surrendering and recognizing that you don't have any control, that you're trying to keep yourself safe is something you've learned in a broken world, that God is who keeps you safe. And that looking for affirmation or affection from other people who are unable to give it to you isn't helping you, but that God says that you're worthy, you're enough, that he never, ever takes his eyes off you, and that he's known every single hair on your head since before you were born. So this morning prayer invitation is just starting to prime that brain. Just I let go of my desires to change anything, and I open myself to the presence of God. So I want you to send me your thoughts, reply below, or send me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook or an email. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you want more, if you want to investigate what it's like to be coached, to have a Christian coach, what that feels like, what that means, go to my website and fill out the contact me form, and I'll get back to you and we'll talk. So I work individually. I do online groups or get ready to online courses. I do groups for moms at home, for Christian women in leadership, for Christian women in the workplace. I do workshops. All of those, a lot of those are getting ready to amp up in the end of April, beginning of May. So watch for that. You can find me pretty much anywhere. I've loved spending the time with you today. Thank you. And I hope that you'll message me your thoughts. Take care.